Antonio. Burgundy Woods here with your Style Lush TV, your online fashion network. And we are in the first episode of Trend Talk in our brand new Versace set studio. I am here with one of my most favorite fashion community women ever, Kristel.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today and being our very first guest. In case you do not know this fabulous woman, she is a San Antonio photographer, but she's also a very creative fashion community entity in general. And I find her perspective super fascinating. And I told her, please come and talk about yourself and what you do. And so thank you for being here today.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
So let's just go ahead and get started.
All
As
right.
you know, Trend Talk is here to prove to this whole beautiful city that we have a huge fashion community. So we like to showcase people. And as I mentioned, you are a photographer.
Yes.
And one of the things, I've known you for a while and I admire your photography. But I know with your photography, fashion is a huge influence, but even beyond fashion, gender identity is a huge influence. Do you want to just go ahead and talk about that?
Sure. Fashion has always been in my life since I was little. I remember watching fashion shows with my mom and my brother and every Sunday. And when I started to do my creative work, my creative photography, it kept popping up here and there. And I realized that there was something running through there and I needed to kind of figure out what that was. And when I was growing up, there wasn't any terms for gender identity or gender fluidity. It didn't exist. So, needless to say, I was very confused sometimes because sometimes I would want to be Fred Astaire, or sometimes I would want to dress like Katharine Hepburn, or I'd want to be Ava Gardner. All these old movies and movie stars that I used to watch, I was influenced by them and their style. And what you saw on TV late at night at 2 o'clock in the morning when we're watching old movies, I fell in love with fashion. And then as I got older and we started to watch fashion on TV on Sundays, when you could watch fashion shows on some channel, I don't remember, I saw things that I'd seen in old movies. And you would see it walking down the runway and I would just be fascinated. And there was Christian Dior and there was all of these Gucci and lines that were designers like in movies, and now they're on the runway, and I was just overwhelmed. And I didn't understand why it was strange for me to want to wear a suit or wear a tie. I didn't understand why that was different. And there's a big difference between gender identity and gender fluidity.
Right. I love this. Can you explain that? This is interesting and so fascinating.
So gender identity has to do with what you identify with as either male or female. So you pretty much feel like that all the time. It has nothing to do with if you're male or female, what your sexual orientation is. It's how you feel. Gender fluidity kind of literally flows in between that and what's not being stereotypical what everybody else is. And I found myself drawn to that term, and it's like, oh my God, all of a sudden I understood what I was feeling all of these years when I read what that meant, what gender fluidity was. It's just kind of flowing in between those two things. You don't really feel masculine, you don't really feel feminine all the time. You kind of just flow in between those two spaces.
And I imagine that allows for a lot of creative freedom and spiritual freedom too, just to kind of go with
because then you're human.
Yeah.
You're not so much one or the other. And not that one is bad or the other is good, or it's just where you are that day, where you are at that moment. So sometimes, I wear a suit, a man's suit. Sometimes I wear a dress, sometimes my hair is up, sometimes it's straight. It's all of these different elements all put together that make us who we are and is influencing my work. And I'm learning things about myself through my photography, through my understanding of fashion and what gender identity and gender fluidity, what all of that is, and to all of us.
Right. So you were a guest fashion blogger earlier this year. This is little pieces of her GFB video. And one of the pictures that, we just absolutely loved was the picture that you took. I didn't even recognize you. Agosto, our Stylish contributor, Agosto's in it. Beautiful, beautiful Trina Bacon. If you do not know this woman, you need to know Trina. She's in it, and you're in it.
Yes.
And the picture, it was the first piece of work that I saw from you. And just the colors, it was very, the blacks were very black and the whites were very white. And I was just like, wow, this is an amazing picture. And I hadn't known you yet, but someone was like, oh, the photographer's like right there. And of course you were wearing something amazing. And I love that picture. Was that the first time that you utilized, kind of, male, female, androgyny in your photography, or have you been doing that a while?
In my photography, yes. In my personal style, no. Yeah. But that work was my first self-portrait. And I didn't feel like I could take it without two of my best friends and my biggest influences as far as fashion and where I'm at as an artist. So I wanted to do that with them.
Can you remember the first time that, maybe androgynous fashion kind of empowered you, or, an experience that you had where you were like, it's because of what I wore that I'm feeling good?
Yeah. I remember when I was in college, I had gone to party and had a little bit too much to drink, and I fell down and I hurt my ankle. And I had to wear this stupid thing like wrapped around my ankle, and then the doctor said I had to walk like with this cane, and he gave me this horrible, ugly aluminum cane.
Those medical looking ones.
Horrible. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna walk around with that. So I started to think about it, and I had my grandfather's old wooden cane, and it was beautiful. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to go with a Fred Astaire sort of vibe with three-piece men's suit. And of course I had them because I would wear them. So I just went around school, like campus, like for about a week or two in different men's wear clothes. Yeah. All like from the thrift store or wherever, but it was just ideas that I had in my head that I would kind of throw together. And I'd wear like a three-piece vest with a jacket and the guy's shoes, and
it
just
made you
rock
feel
that
great.
cane.
Yeah, I mean, that's such a great story. What was the reaction of the people around you? Do you remember?
I think most of the people who actually knew me already kind of just like,
there she goes again.
Yeah, they were like, well, what are you gonna say? But people who didn't know me, I would get different types of reactions, just depending on, I guess, who was around, or what they thought would be funny to say, which is another thing that all kind of fascinates me. Like, why was it weird to dress like that?
So this is Trend Talk, and we do talk about the latest trends or the latest things that we're kind of obsessing over fashion-wise or style-wise or whatever. And I know she introduced me to an amazing show. So
yes,
do you want to talk to us about that?
Sure. I got obsessed recently with Mr. Selfridges. And I don't know if any of you have seen the show, but it's based in the early 1900s in a department store. And I talk about it a little bit in my blog, like a little bit about, my experience being in retail.
Check out the blog below this video. You're going to want to watch this show.
It's a great show. And at first I didn't think I was going to be that interested in watching it because it was retail, and I spent so many years in retail. I was like, oh my God.
Many of San Antonio fashion community have spent many years in retail.
No. But as I started to watch it, it kind of brought back like these nostalgic memories of doing grand openings and hearing the chatter, when the store first opens or when something happens, people are like talking, and so it was really great. And I loved watching all of the period costumes, what people were wearing, and I absolutely loved that. Like in every period, I love to look at all the different things that they wore.
It's fascinating. Sometimes I wish we could just bust out and wear, that today.
Yeah, why not?
Why not though?
Yeah, exactly.
Because he did a lot. He pioneered a lot of things.
He did. And he pioneered a lot of things that I didn't even realize were things that had never been done before. Like
the makeup. Talk about the makeup.
Yeah, the makeup. Makeup was something that I did when I was in retail. And you're smack in front of the store. It's what people first see, fragrances and makeup, when you walk in. It's huge. The departments sell. I mean, it's a huge department. But back then, women kept their products secret. So
Ding ding. We are online media, so we're dinging all over the place.
So they would keep the products in the pharmacy, like hidden away. So you wouldn't see lipsticks and rouges and all of that was
Isn't that weird?
put away.
That's amazing.
It was
to think.
considered secret and like taboo. You didn't go there. So odd. Well, he's the one that put it in the front, the center of the store. Like
Genius.
yeah, I mean, how amazing is that? So when you walk in, you see all the fragrances, you see all the beautiful things on the counter. He was the first one who did that. I mean, that was really innovative.
Yeah.
And he also allowed people to touch merchandise. Before that point, you weren't allowed to touch merchandise. It wasn't kept out.
I can't even imagine not being able to touch something I want to buy.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah.
It was kept away, and you would go and you would ask the consultant, can I see a red pair of gloves? And they would show you maybe 3 different ones. And then you got to pick. You didn't get to see them all. Like, you would just get to see what they put there for you.
So weird.
Yeah, it's very strange. Very strange.
Gosh. Well, tell San Antonio where they can find you online.
You can find me on my Facebook page, Kristel A. Puente Photography. You can find me on my website, which is also kapuentephotography.com.
Well, didn't I tell you you're going to love this woman? You know you're going to go to her website because she's amazing and fascinating and wonderful, and she is a gem in our fashion community. So thank you so much for being
Thank
the
you for having me.
Yes, we're so excited.
It's an honor. Thank you so much.
We also want to thank Forever 21 for providing my wardrobe today. And stay tuned for more episodes because this is just the beginning. We've got the studio now. We will still be on the streets doing trend talks, but we're going to have more opportunity to show you fascinating people like Kristel from San Antonio, Texas. Okay, till next time, don't complain. Come fancy. We'll see you next time.